In this tutorial, I will demonstrate how to set up work and tool offsets on the DynaPath 1 Delta CNC lathe using the third method, which is to use a reference tool to set the G54Z, and then using the reference tool to set all the tools, including itself, into the tool offset table for its X and Z axis. So to begin, I will go into the work offset screen and I would engage the spindle at 200 RPM. And with tool number 1 being my reference tool, I should make sure that I call tool 1. So I'll do that. Okay, so now that tool 1 is active, I will engage the MPG mode. And with this being my MPG scaling selector, I can use the MPG to move my tool to touch off the Z axis, which is the face of the part. Okay, with that being touched, I will press the set Z axis button up here, and that will write the current machine location into the G54Z. So that concludes my work offset setup. Next, I will go into tool offset, and notice I haven't moved my Z axis at all. I can go to measure, and before I measure the X axis using the reference tool on the part, I will zero my relative coordinate Z axis, because I will use this same location to touch the other tools to set every other tool's Z in a relative fashion with reference to the reference tool. Okay, so to continue, I will touch the cylindrical surface diameter of my part. Okay, once that is touched, I will stop the spindle using the spindle stop button, and I can use a caliper to measure my diameter of this part. Okay, and the measured value seems to be 2.588, so I can use that value and store it into the X measured. Okay, once that's set in there, with tool 1 being my reference tool, I can then set the machine X axis, and what that does is it takes the machine current value minus the X measured diameter, and the result will be written into my tool number 1 X axis. And then to set the X offset for every other tool, for example tool 2, I will touch the same location on the cylindrical face and use the set X machine position to set tool 2. So let me demonstrate that. First, I will choose tool 2, and I will call that tool. And just like earlier, I will go touch the Z-axis face. Okay, now that it's touching, remember for Z-axis, it's a relative set, so I will set the Z position relative. Okay, it's a very small value because it's just measuring the difference between the current tool 2 versus the reference tool 1 in the Z axis. Next, I will bring the Z off the face and measure the X axis for tool 2. So I'll touch the same location as earlier. And once that's touching, I will use the set X under machine position, and it will, like before, take the machine location minus the diameter of the measured cylinder part and write it into tool number 2 X axis. So I will do this same thing for every other tool that I'm using in the program. And just as review, for this method, all the X axes are set with respect to the machine coordinates, and all the Z axes are set for every tool referencing the reference tool. And then for the work offsets, only the z-axis is measured for using the reference tool. And this concludes the tool and work offset setup for the lathe.